What's going on, everybody? It's been a little bit of a hiatus. I had a very hectic week, but I'm back. I just want to thank everybody for reaching out during this week. I really appreciated it. It's cool to see that you had support from so many random strangers that you never met in your life, but it was really cool to get those messages. So I do appreciate that. But for me, this week, really not all that much that I did ultimately. I was kind of, again, hectic, and I wasn't around the screens all that much, but that doesn't mean that I need to stop and and not stay on my task. And I kind of need to do these types of things to kind of keep my mind off things, so that's very helpful. So that's why I'm doing this on Friday night at 8:15, just to try and stay busy as best as I can. And of course, prepare for next week. So obviously this week, not only did we have data, of course, but we also had earnings from some really big names. So of course, we're going to go through some of those charts and kind of see where we're at. But ultimately, January comes to a close. The bulls take round one, and that's the name of this live video right now. And what I mean by that is just January went to the bulls. Now, from this point, ultimately, I really haven't done all that much preparation heading into next week. I'm going to do it here with you guys. But, one thing that stuck out to me towards the end of today was, kind of how we were making that move upward. And that's something that we're going to revisit that in just a few minutes here before we get into it. I just wanted to say, if you guys have any tickers that you want to look at going into next week, feel free to drop in the comments. If you do not, I'm going to go through it how I typically would in terms of the names that I typically chart and post and all that good stuff. So I'm going to do that anyways. So here we go. Let me just take this off, and I just need to share. Where are we? Okay, so this is going to go to share screen, and we're going to share my trading view. And let me just take off this little banner thing. All right, we're good. So as you can see, as always, NASDAQ comes first. NASDAQ has been the leader for a long time. And to me, having an idea, even if you don't trade the indices, to me, having an idea of where the overall market, especially if you trade any sort of tech, it's kind of good to have an idea of, price in general and where really the market in itself is going. So, just by starting off here, one thing that I've done that I was just messing around a little while ago. And one thing that, I did here, which I hadn't done in the past, was just see, after that first market structure shift and retracement into your discount imbalance right here, what do the standard deviations say, right? I'm not a fib trader by any means or anything like that, but I'm curious because we're at a point now where obviously we closed above our, besides last week, of course, but we closed above that all-time high, and really the only level of buy-side liquidity we're looking at is right here, right? So, looking at it that way, I really don't have all that much in terms of what's to my left. What can I use to help me make decisions in the moving, coming forward in terms of creating some sort of higher time frame bias, and honestly, at this point here, I tweeted about it 100 times today, but, at this point, I still don't see any reason to be bearish, right? And really, the driving force for that, and really when I'll start to switch and start to look to play some downside, is really when we get a bearish imbalance to the downside, like so, right? Like so, like so. We haven't had that in so long. We haven't had one of those since, let's see, since 2022, December. We haven't had a bearish imbalance on the weekly to the downside, right? That's not saying that there weren't down close candles. Of course there were. But if we're to just take a look here, every single swing the bears have taken has almost immediately been sounded out by the bulls. And, to me, that's pretty interesting. Just worth noting. Okay. So really, until that point, I'm not really looking for any sustained downside move until I see that. And that's going to be the dead giveaway to me, because look, every time in the past we've gotten one of these, what has it told you? We're going down. What has this told you? We're going down. What has this told you? We're going down, right? So every time that does occur, that's kind of the market tipping its hat to you a little bit and saying, hey, we're going lower here. Okay. So until that happens, to me, there's still no reason to look lower. Believe it or not, I've actually had to buy more storage on iCloud because of all the bear tweets that I've screenshotted, so that these jokers, who have just been calling for the death of the market for what's pretty much years at this point. I just get a good laugh out of those, and it's funny how a lot of them, they just vanish. It's mind blowing. But that seems to be just a Twitter thing, I guess. But getting back to my point here, in terms of after making that first market structure shift and completing my model right up here, right? I just wanted to play around with it and see, at where are we in terms of the standard deviation, because there are a lot of traders who do use the standard deviations or Fibonacci. And while I don't, again, I'm really running out of information to my left. I have one more high, and other than that, it's nothing, right? Nothing ever to our left up in this vicinity. So, but just by looking at it here, I mean, if we're to look and see, after that first move, we're almost at a 2 standard deviation move following that first completion right up here at, what was that, 13,663. So if that's the case, and we notice, I mean, look, it's not as beautifully clean as, trading the way that a lot of us do, using price action, buy side liquidity sweep, that creates your pullback, right? And look where our 1 standard deviation is, not close really. But we did kind of hug the line, so I'll give it some credit. But even on this retracement, right, we came back down, no Fibonacci here. So I don't know how trustworthy this is, but again, I'm really working with limited resources at this point. I do not have any information to my left. So until something were to occur to the downside where I would have some information to my left, I'm all right. I'm going to continue looking at it from the bullish perspective. And if you notice from any of my tweets that have gone out over the last, I don't know, since October, you'll notice that, it's always been looking for liquidity to the upside. And, while of course this move probably scared a million people, and I probably have 30 tweets from this one down wick, right? Trust me, I got a lot from this one. The first week of January, there were a lot of people calling for the crash, right? Week 1 of January, and just look where we are now. It really is amazing. I even had CNBC on in the background today, and I'm just listening to this stuff, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, these people were telling you the world is over here, right? And they're telling you here that this is the buying opportunity of a century. It is just so amazing, and it's borderline criminal in my opinion. It's just nuts. But it is what it is. We're not going to change that. And I do value some of the stuff that is talked about on there, but for the most part, I think a lot of it is just just talk to get some liquidity for the markets. So but anyways, going into next week, one thing that kind of stuck out to me towards the end of today, and this is kind of top down analysis, right? If we were to look at the daily chart, and you'll notice on Wednesday, you can go back, scroll down a little bit. I haven't been tweeting all that much, but if you were to go back to Wednesday and you saw that there was a Cheddar Flow post, and shout out to Cheddar Flow, you saw that Cheddar Flow post where they talked about that singular dark pool print. And immediately after seeing that, after a pretty bad day, right, the first thing that came to my mind situation was, watch the order block paint, right? And a lot of people were asking me, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I said, okay, watch it, note it, and study it. What happens, right? And look, now you can clearly see the bullish order block here, right? You have your down close candle followed by your up close candle that takes out and closes above the open of the previous, right? So this is a bullish order block right here. And the reason why I say watch it, note it, do all of this thing, because at the end of the day, I think if you're just told what something is, and how to play off of it or anything like that, you're really not going to learn anything. So, and remember, just these dark pool prints essentially are just large scale orders that are coming in off exchange. So we don't necessarily know the direction. But for example, if we're getting dark pool prints down here, what would your expectation be? Do you think people are going to be selling after we've already dropped 2,000 points? I don't know. Probably not, right? They're very late if that's the case, or we're going to absolutely tank, right? So just by using the overall, idea of, like, when these big money buys and sells, right? Because we know it's one of them, right? But having an idea of where they're coming in on the chart, like where would it make sense? And to me, this was kind of a layup looking back at it and just noting our daily range from our low to high, right? That was the price run that took out that high right there, which was buy side, right? And that actually completed my model from a couple weeks back. So ready, here's your low to high, discount retracement, check, run through highs, Mando model completes right here, right? So after that completes, you'll notice we make our imbalance up and through buy side liquidity, which is right here, right? Previous buy side. There it is. So we make that imbalance up through. So when I see an imbalance up through, to me, that tells me that there's going to be some sort of continuation, right? And of course, with retracement back down into discount, 50% and below would be discount of a bullish range, and vice versa. If you have a bearish range, you're looking at discount being above 50%. But price is still bullish even at this point. You'll notice we get our retracement into discount, our bullish order block paints, and so on, right? So at this point, still all day today, I was talking with a few friends, and we were kind of, but not really even asking each other where we think it's going. I think we were all on the same page. KD, I saw you in the chat before. I know you can, also speak to this, but we all feel pretty good about it going back to those all-time highs, making another new one. But the difference here was, at what rate was it going to happen? And one thing to me that was kind of alarming, and at this point, just to be fair, taking a look here at this hourly chart, you're going to notice that, after our last price run, okay, so what was the price run that took out this high here? Here's your start of the run, green candle, bang to bang. There it is. You have that chop in that overnight session leading to our little pre-data knife, and then leading to our ripper, completing my model right here. But one thing that you're going to notice here, if you're, using these types of concepts, is that throughout this hourly move, we have not created an hourly imbalance, right? So that's a little concerning to me, being that really in this whole price run here, the only place where I'm, kind of even considering where could we bounce from would be here, which we've already pretty much filled. So I'm not all that confident in that. And this is on the hourly perspective. I'm going to show you the 4 hours. Well, it might clear things up, but you know, to me at this point, if my goal is still for us to get to that all-time high, which is right here, we were not far off whatsoever. And I do think we get there, but it's how we get there, to me, that is important for us moving forward, and how we'd view, just the market as a whole moving forward from this point. If we're just to kind of grind higher like we did here, to me, again, this is something that you can back test too. Go back, look at different time frames, different charts, and just see what happens when price grinds up and maybe takes out a higher time frame liquidity level, and then how price reacts following that, right? If you get the reaction where you're grinding up, you're not creating any imbalances in price, you take that high and you start to make a sharper move to the downside, at that point, it does get a little scary to, while we still are in a bullish structure, you really don't have much to play off of. And those tend to create those, bearish reversals in this type of situation here. So I'm not all that thrilled about this, but if we were to go to the 4-hour chart, you're going to notice that right here, whoops, we actually did create a 4-hour imbalance. And again, it's not necessarily in discount, so it might not be the most ideal trade for me personally, but am I so sure that this is the range that's set? I'm not so sure. Not until 50% is tagged, right? So if we were to get into this imbalance and take off, completely justified, just not something that I would personally look to trade. Now, if price gets into this 4-hour imbalance and takes off, that's perfect for a continuation move for bulls. But if we are, again, to grind higher very slow and just nab this and not create any sort of imbalance, I'm not feeling so great about, it might be a situation which we've had over the last couple of weeks, where it's a take the high, kind of retrace back into a bullish fair value gap, take the high, retrace back into a bullish fair value gap. So that, to me, is going to be important and something that will be on high alert for me moving into next week, right? If we were to get a bearish market structure shift on this hourly candle, which, in reality, just by looking at it from this perspective, we technically, we haven't even completed the hourly for my model in this sense. So hold on. Oh, this is the 4 hour. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the hourly, but we still haven't completed it. If we're to zoom back and look, you're going to notice that at each one of these highs that we've made, there was no discount retracement, meaning there was no, you know, uh, what's the word? I guess, quote unquote, pullback that would, bring us back down into 50% of the range. As a result of that, this is a huge range. You'll notice where we bounced. Look where we bounced the other day, right at 50%, right? Right there, bang. And multiple holds of that same level before making that up move. So to me, the most important thing is, how do we start next week? Do we get a couple of imbalances to the upside that will kind of create, uh, I hate to say it, but like a flagpole with some support on the way up, right? We don't want just a pole to be created without any sort of support, because then after sweeping liquidity, it might be a little dangerous to the downside. And that ultimately is what I'm looking at moving forward here on NASDAQ as a whole. Very similarly, if we were to go over here and just flip over to ES, which is the S&P or SPY, you're going to notice that, pretty similar. But one thing about ES here in this situation, and I know you're going to say Mando SPY took out all-time highs. I get it. You're going to say SPX took out all-time highs. Maybe I haven't even looked at SPX in a while, but the difference here is, just like QQQ took out its all-time highs prior to NQ doing it, it's the same situation here. We actually have not taken out this high yet on ES, right? So it is lagging a little bit. And this is really the whole reason why I've made that transition from trading the S&P to NASDAQ much more. And it's because, to me, NASDAQ is the leader. It's moving much better. I can make more money off of it. It's moving much more points, and it's much more smooth. Although this is it's really as clean as you're going to get it, from low to high, discount retracement, and then from your move higher. So ultimately at this point, I'm, very similarly, I'm almost using this draw on ES. Is this going to be, the level where maybe we sweep that and then we start to retrace a little bit, maybe back into another bullish fair value gap, right? If we were to create one next week, that'd be something that I'd be looking for at moving forward. But right now we're dealing with this bearish order block right here, and, justifies a slowdown, and currently right at 50% of it to close the week. So, yeah, that's just overall on the indices. As always, I like to start out with that and just kind of get a general idea of where I think the market's going and how I can use that type of information to, even if I want to trade an individual equity, it is just nice to have it in the back of your head that, oh, if I think the market's moving higher here, it might not be a bad idea that, or maybe it's just using confluence with, oh, I think Apple looks good here, and I also think NASDAQ looks good. I'm going to take it for a ride. Yeah, KD, I can get you a mic. Hold on. Let's do this. All right. Katie, I'm going to post it in the Discord main chat right now, just so it's easier. Okay, good. All right. Whoops. No, we need to close that. All right. Now, let me just look at these comments and then we'll get going on to our next. So let's see. How's it going, Fatih? Greater Fool. I'm not sure what that is. I can't see it from my end. Check out Tesla. Yeah, Tesla is definitely one we're going to go over here. But all right, so let's just do this. I'm going to chart them up real quick, screen grab them, and I'm going to post them over the weekend, of course. But let's go NASDAQ first. Of course, I was just kind of testing something out with how I had my fibs there, but I'm not going to have that necessarily. I want to look over here, knowing that we've taken out the all-time high already, actually closed above, what was previous buy side, which is pretty encouraging. But again, from this point, am I missing any imbalances? Not quite. And this is what we're currently looking at in terms of our range. So green candle to our high, no discount retracement, of course. But if this goes higher, I have to move my range higher, right? This is not set in stone. This is just for optics and looking what would make sense for a potential 50% retracement, right? So here is that. Okay. Let's save. Boom. Okay, great. Now, I think I just heard Katie come in, so let me give him. Yeah, there he is. Okay. All right, Katie, what's up, man?
Yo,
All right, so let's go back over here. Oh, okay. So before we get to Tesla, let's look at the dollar because the dollar has just been outrageous. So weekly perspective, ironically, this is something that I wrote on Sunday about these equal highs, how I thought it was going to go to the equal highs, but I still kind of felt like NASDAQ was not done with its up move. Typically, when you get that, you're not getting the best trading conditions. Optimally, you'll want NASDAQ, S&P, Russell, Dow, whatever. You want them all to be working like as an inverse to the dollar. But right now you're getting the dollar moving higher while indices are moving higher. So to me, what that tells me is someone's a liar. And until this gets sorted out, it's not really as helpful as I would have liked. So really, I want to see dollar sweep these highs and then just make a move down towards these equal lows. To me, that would be the most ideal. If we look at it from the daily perspective here as well, you'll notice that while we got sticky in this daily bearish fair value gap, look at that. That's just nasty, right? You'll notice today we make this huge candle to the upside, displacing out of it and ultimately rejecting this bearish imbalance again. You'll see that we do end up closing above, but we never disconnect from this level. And that's why I still had it on the chart and why it would still be considered valid to me. But looking at these equal highs, I think that's kind of a sure thing. Maybe even get up into this bearish fair value gap here on the daily. That one dates back to November of 2023. But from that point, ultimately, I think the dollar is going to complete my model on a higher time frame here with your high to low, discount retracement, run through the lows. And, if dollar is to reject from this point moving lower, I think we can go much higher on the indices, which is crazy to think about, with obviously all the negative news and such. But that would be the dollar. So let me just screenshot this as well. All right. All right. And let's look at Tesla. Katie, I know you traded Tesla today as well. But to me, I think it is kind of encouraging. And, we can look at the daily as well here. This chart might be a little sloppy. Apologies. I just haven't really done the daily chart in a while, but it's looking something like that. From the weekly perspective, we'll start, but we did get our discount retracement, of course. We also swept that low here at 194.24. And this past week, we actually created a bearish fair value gap here. Now, I'm not so sold that this fair value gap is going to really matter, to be honest with you. And the reason for that is if we're to look at this on a zoomed out perspective like we are, this low to high is still a bullish structure or bullish trend, right? I know this doesn't seem like a bullish trend, and while in the short term, I would agree with you. If we're looking zoomed out, and this dates all the way back to April of last year, we're technically still bullish, right? So with that being said, you have your first attempt at discount, that bullish for volume imbalance here, bounce. Rejection here off this bearish order block, bounce again from this bullish volume imbalance, rejection from this bearish fair value gap, sweep lows, take out liquidity, get deeper into discount here, this discount volume imbalance for another run higher, same bearish fair value gap rejects us, and ultimately we move lower after perfectly tagging that bullish volume imbalance right here. Now, really, this is kind of like the last line for me, and this is really what I'm using as a way to kind of base my current Tesla trade. If we were to kind of disconnect from that level, I'm probably going to call it quits, but I really don't see this as a problem, knowing that we have an overall bullish trend. And even if you wanted to look at this from a bearish perspective, while you don't necessarily know this is your range, right? I'll give you that. You don't know that for sure. I just wouldn't feel comfortable paying a premium for my Tesla short at this point. And what I mean by that is, and you might hear people talk about this all the time, but you don't necessarily want to chase, right? So people say don't chase and don't catch a falling knife, right? And when you talk about the chase, to me, all that would equate to is trying to short something in premium or trying to buy something in premium. If you're overpaying for it in terms of what your range is, that would be the definition of shorting, in my opinion. Does that mean that we can't get up into here and reject down and go for lows? I'm not saying that it can't. Just for me, I wouldn't feel as comfortable doing so. So, but yeah, that's where I'm currently at on Tesla. Of course, to me, it is kind of encouraging that we all have been holding that 79% here. And to me, the risk reward is just way better to the upside. Ultimately, I don't really see us moving lower, but I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I was right down here. I was wrong here. So it is what it is. But we're gonna see how we ultimately shake out. But Katie, do you have any thoughts on Tesla?
Yeah, no, same kind of sentiments. I mean, market, everything else in the market's running. Everything else in the market is at all-time highs. Tesla is getting very much beaten down. And it is kind of at this point, like the risk reward is very, very decisive. Like you have about $15 of risk. If you break to the downside, so be it. That's how it's gonna play out. Probably if we do break, I think. Let me just double check this. Yeah, if we break that 177 level, definitely see it going back down to like the 155 range. But I mean, upside wise, absolutely fucking beautiful. I mean, as Mando pointed out, Tesla. I mean, I was very busy today, but when I was ducking my head in, like everything was running from
Mm-hmm.
premium. Everything was running into in premium, and nothing was really running into discount. And I was like, "Fuck, dude! Like, what do I do?" And so, usually, what I do is I have a big board of names that I look at, and I was flicking through, and I was like, "Wow, Tesla is just getting absolutely hammered." And
Mm-hmm.
probably not the best idea, but I was like, I could probably string together a few lottos to try to get this thing, if this thing gets back going to back to back to highs. Especially, main thing I was looking is, if you actually look at the Tesla daily, I was actually, or no, I'm sorry, the weekly. I was looking at it, and the way that we were closing, we were going to create a pretty significantly bearish fair value gap down. If that was the case, I would fully expect that next week we would be breaking towards that 177 low, probably heading towards 155. I was flipping on the 5-minute chart, and I think I sent you guys the text about I think it was 1:05 p.m. I said, "Holy shit, dude! Tesla looks fucking horrible
Mm-hmm.
on the weekly." And just to shout out to some people who aren't familiar, Mando does this little thing where he's looking at the market and he might make a comment, "Oh shit, the market looks bad," and then later he's flicking on showing P&L of like being up and buying. And I kind of pulled a Mando move in that sense, where I was like, damn dude, Tesla looks like absolute trash. And then actually saw Tesla form this breaker here. And
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. So basically, to sum this up, we had the morning open, shot up to 187, or I'm sorry, 86.75, created that bearish order block, traded really sideways all the way through the lunch session. Finally took that lower low. Once we took that
Yep.
lower low, created the bullish breaker. That was my entry. That bullish breaker, boom, didn't even think
Beautiful.
about it. Yeah, didn't even
No,
think
that
of
was amazing because when you texted, you're like, you sent like, I forget what it was like 100% on Tesla. I'm like, wait a second, did Tesla run? I wasn't even paying attention to it.
yeah,
And it just took off. And I have it on the screen what he was talking about. But if you're looking at home, you'll notice you have your right here, this swing low, right? We swept that ever so slightly, and this is the power of liquidity.
yeah,
Sweep the lows, take off. Now, the
boom.
breaker that KD was talking about right here was our low, high, lower low, and a break of this high right here. We would view that candle as our breaker candle. Now, Oh, we did end up coming back for it, yeah. So this was, I mean, this even gave you an opportunity to get back in a lot of the times.
Yep.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say that, but there are times where we create the breaker and we just take off. This
Yep.
actually came back down for you, got into the breaker, and from this point at 184.43, if you were to enter that trade, you ended up running up about $5. It's excellent, right?
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
dealing with this gap down all day, but ultimately we got to the high of it, and that's currently where we sit. Now, if we were to zoom out even and we look at it from this perspective, we have this high. Let's just, just for jokes. But what do we see even on a larger scale here? You still have your low, high, lower low, and a break above that 189.02. Now you have a smaller time frame breaker to work with as well. Obviously, you're dealing with some I don't want to say serious, but you have some pretty big levels ahead. Obviously, Tesla's been getting its butt kicked for a while, but from that point, 193.97, that is your next draw on liquidity. And on the weekly chart, if you're to get back up into there, now you're approaching showtime, which was our weekly bearish fair value gap. So that's kind of what I'm looking at ultimately for Tesla as well. But I mean, anybody who was in here the other day as well, I am in Tesla. So, but to me, it was just way too good of a risk reward situation that I had to take it. Hopefully my timing is correct. I have March contracts, but I have a few that are close to the money, and I have a few that are out of the money in case Tesla actually does decide to wake up. Maybe we get some sort of shift, because right now, NVIDIA is just going berserk. AMD is going berserk. Obviously, we know Meta's been going berserk. I mean, that was really flying under the radar, but that has been a serious trade as well. And for whatever reason, I feel like that one's not talked about very much on here. I know a lot of people, there is obviously a lot of people who do trade the large caps and everything like that, but I'm surprised every time I come on here with you guys and you guys are talking about some of these mid cap or penny stocks, and I'm just like, whoa, I didn't realize how many people traded that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
but
No, dude.
Yeah, go.
One last comment on that though, dude.
Yeah.
I like Ryan called me Charmin hands, dude, after I texted you guys. I was at like 280 something percent. And dude, oh god.
Oh, you ended up cracking it at 280?
Yeah. Dude,
Dang.
no. Dude, I don't know if I should bring this up on YouTube. I might get canceled, but
All right, yeah, don't get me canceled.
well, yeah, super diarrhea hands, dude.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Dude, so this is what I tell you. I bought a really lot of I was actually targeting on the the hourly. I was targeting 186.75 on the hourly. That was my target when I got in at the 183, 182 range. After that breaker. Yeah, I bought it for 7 cents a contract, and it ran up to $1.55.
Oh my gosh,
Bro,
that's
dude.
unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I think I texted you guys. I had to jump into a meeting, and so I sent it, set it to take profit stop loss trade, and I
Oh,
was
well,
like,
I don't blame you for that.
yeah,
And
bro.
ultimately, on the same token, we were talking about it as well, and like Tesla got very close to sweeping that high, and it was just like NASDAQ. We were anticipating this move all day, getting up into that, all-time high, even sweeping the high period, and we were so close, but just could not do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that you were able, at least you managed to the downside and stuff, but just ironic here, even looking at it from this tighter window. I know we're looking at NASDAQ again, but we took out the lunch high, and we kind of got stuck in the mud from that point. Lunch low is here. That would also create some sort of little turtle soup potentially to those all-time highs. But again, it's kind of how we make that move is what I'm looking for moving on into next week. But
Yo,
I also wanted to take a look at Apple. Oof, not on the smaller time frame, that's for sure. Let's go
correct
over
me if
here.
I'm wrong. Doesn't that make a mitigation block?
What are we looking at? Tesla?
NQ.
Oh,
With all,
NASDAQ?
yeah, with all those highs.
Smaller time frame? Not necessarily. So with that, it would have to be a break below and kind of reject this candle and create another low like that,
Okay.
But I mean, could you get your high, low, higher high, break below here? If we don't hold that candle, then you have a bearish breaker. So that's something I'm looking at for next time as well. But let's go over to Apple here. Apple, this was one where, ultimately I think I'm going to be right. But the funky part about it was when we did get into that breaker, you'll see, I haven't touched these from back. When did this happen? The first week of January. So you can go back on my Twitter and see that this little check mark here, this line and where I thought price was going, this was not altered whatsoever. But from the jump, I just wanted it to come back down closer to CE, which is the midpoint of this imbalance, and show me that there was urgency to move higher from that point. Obviously, the first attempt, we did not quite get there, getting back up into this bearish volume imbalance, which is right there. Sorry, I had it off for a second. But you'll notice, look at that candle close. This is from 2 weeks ago. Price runs up, bearish imbalance right here, wicks all the way up and through, but closes back down below. And that kind of told the story there for this week. And ultimately, all we did here was really turtle soup, swept that low back into the breaker. And ultimately, I think we move higher on Apple. But, and it's still, to me, it's only about 14 points away. But, I tweeted about it going into earnings, and those lows were pretty clean. And what we meant by that was this. Let's just zoom in a little bit more. So if you notice that low here and that low here, the fact that we didn't sweep that low on that little pullback, that little tail right there, to me, that leaves relative equal lows, meaning that what had to have happened here, somebody had to go long. What had to have happened here, somebody had to go long, but no liquidity was purged. So the fact that no liquidity was purged, to me, that means somebody, might not be the same person, but it's doubling down in a sense, where you have buys here and you have buys here, did not take out these either. So the fact that we did sweep that low and, kind of responded the way we did today, I think Apple looks good for higher as well in this situation. I don't know. Have you been keeping up with Apple at all?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. This is one of the names I added into my dividend portfolio. So it was one
Nice.
that I was tracking earlier today. I think I made that comment, and you actually did respond back that we did sweep those relative equal lows.
Mm,
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's one of those things where everything else is at all-time highs. Remember a while back, wherever the market goes or wherever Apple goes, the market goes. Well,
right.
not so much anymore. um,
Yeah, literally.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, dude, overall, very big week for the entire NQ. I think earlier in the week I mentioned that it was like 12% of Nasdaq reported earnings this week. It comes about to be about 8% of SPY.
Mm.
Um, so lots of volatility. Package that with Jay Powell speaking. Package that with non-farm payroll. Definitely was a hell of a week.
I know, it really was. It was crazy. But, before we go to, I see there's a few things that you guys have put into the chat right now. Let's just look at NVIDIA. I feel like we kind of have to at least look at this one. So from our most recent completion of my model here with the turtle soup, higher time frame liquidity sweep, there's your low to your high, here's your retracement, not quite into discount, which is insane. But just by using this, I'm forecasting what our potential range would have been and how, again, I don't have anything to the left. How am I going to come to the conclusion of where price could, potentially be going, right? So ultimately, 618 was our first standard deviation. We're approaching the second pretty fast. And two standard deviations would be 731.84. Actually, let's just do this really quickly and then we'll get to those names. But check Meta. Here's the craziest thing about Meta. In order for you to map the range and map the retracement, you literally would not have been able to unless you went all the way back to, what is this, a couple years after IPO. This is 2013. I went through every one of these little bumps and retracements. Not one came to 50% of the range. So this was literally the range for even on this. Ready?
Yeah, yeah,
No, no
13
50%
years.
retracement there.
Yeah, you had to wait
It's
13 years for your range to develop.
insane. So yeah, exactly. It took 13 years for the range to develop. And guess what? We retrace back down. And this is the funniest part about it, because don't let anybody tell you that old levels don't matter.
Uh-oh.
Look at that. Bullish fair value gap right on 79% of the range. Look at that. We hold it perfectly and we absolutely moonshot. And here's the craziest part. So if we're going to stay on what's it called? Stay on, I guess this type of trajectory, right? And you're looking at standard deviations for your answer. Look at these standard deviation extensions on Meta. It's just mind blowing.
Well,
A
yeah,
2 standard deviation is $1,100. It's just
yeah.
nuts.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if you've been following my room. It's all right if you haven't. I won't be upset.
Yeah, no, this week I really haven't been doing all that much.
I might
So.
just silently leave the Discord in the middle of the night, but
Yeah, yeah.
no, but on Nvidia, I actually one of my buddies reached out to me. They're like, "Yo, I have Nvidia at like $34 a share. I bought it like 2017 or 2018. Me and my wife have been thinking about selling it, and they're like, well, if it drops below 500, we were thought about selling it. I was like, don't sell it. So then I was like, yo, give me a second. I don't have Nvidia charted out, and that's when I went back to the Discord and I was like, okay, I see us Nvidia hitting somewhere between 650 and 675. 650 would be the first place that I would look for a rejection, first standard deviation, or one of the standard deviation moves, and then the main one was 675, 677 was like a little area using two different standard deviations. I posted that in the Discord a few weeks ago, and I've been following along on that. So I mentioned it at 540. I said, 540 at some point this year. I know it sounds crazy. Don't hate me. But I see Nvidia hitting $650 this year. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen 3 months from now. It can happen a year from now. But I am not taking a trade based off this. Just want to let you know, this is what I did for a friend. So I'm sharing the information. Sent a text message to my buddy today. I was like, congratulations, you're at 650, or you just,
Unbelievable.
past 650. Yeah. So 677, I have it up here. 677.63 is where my two standard deviations is at. And then my other standard deviations is 675. So that's where I'm really looking. I was like, I think him and his wife are definitely going to take some off, because I think they got like a couple hundred shares at like $34 a share. So I think it's time, but I definitely, this is one name that's, I mean, it's just running a lot. So definitely a place to, with them. Honestly though, like, so I'm going to try to get them into the cover call strategy, because the best thing that they could probably do now is options are running so rampant, people trying to chase buying calls, that the only time you should really let go of your shares is not actually hitting a limit order or a market order, but is actually making the market take it from you with covered call strategy.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I know you're definitely more in tune with than I am. But anyways, we'll keep this train moving here. We look at Russell. Somebody brought up Russell, and you're absolutely right. It is totally lagging. One thing you'll notice is that when we did shift market structure here with this run, right, you'll notice 50%, beautiful breaker, low, high, lower low, break above that level. We would expect that candle to hold the support, and so far so good. We did end up getting into this bearish weekly fair value gap. This is the first week of the month back in January. I've yet to close above it. So you're right. NASDAQ is, Russell is absolutely lagging right now, with our next draw being probably like 200 points away. But, from this point here, bullish trend is still intact, of course. Rejection here is justified, of course. But at this point here, I mean, maybe let's see if we can crunch it down to a daily and see if there are any little sub levels. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. So if we look at there we go. So that's a bullish fair value gap. You also have a little volume imbalance here, which we've held so far. So far, so good. You're dealing with one little daily imbalance right here, just to be fair. And that's kind of where we're at currently. But, yeah, Russell is totally lagged. I mean, even if you were to look at like a yearly chart on this, while NASDAQ is already completed, if we're zooming out here, hold up, there it is. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, you'll notice just from, let's go COVID lows to our highs, discount retracement, check, and so far so good. So we'll have to see. I mean, it might be a much more drawn out or long term trade, but not much has changed here in my eyes in terms of Russell. But let's see what else we got over here. What's up, Sean? Upstart. What I realized is after we visited the bearish weekly fair value gap last week, we managed to print a green weekly candle this week without retracing deeper into the bullish fair value gap. Okay, so let's look at Upstart. Yeah, so still not bad. One thing was last week that would have been nice if we created that bullish volume imbalance higher, but got back into this discount bullish fair value gap. So far so good. Still not so sure what the weighting situation here in Russell is, but you would have expected with SMCI moving like it did that Russell would have caught a little more, but it did not. I'm pretty sure that's number one in Russell. Powell is making a 1-hour interview on Sunday. What scares me, that's what scares me about gaps on weekends. Yeah, I don't really carry all that much over the weekend. And that was like it's kind of because, the international situations, of course, I wasn't swing trading for a long, long time. And reason really being, you never know what's going to happen over the weekend. But there are just certain names where, to me, the risk parameters that I have on it are just as long as we don't get circuit breakers, I'm not going to get crushed. But
God, we don't get circuit breakers.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that. All right, Mara holding up. Yep, well, let's look at Mara. I haven't been keeping up with this one as much as I should, but you got your discount retracement. So far, so good. We ran into this bearish volume imbalance right here, and that's where ultimately we rejected on the weekly. Next week would be very encouraging if you were to make kind of an overlay of that. So if you're, and this is also bearish fair value gap, just worth noting, but right off 50% of it we rejected. Really, you'd want an overlay, and what I mean by that is just a candle that is overlaying the bearish imbalance right here. So that's something to watch as well. While we're on the Mara idea, let's look at Bitcoin. Perfect. Got right into a bullish fair value gap here, and it's moving again. This high, you'll notice again, liquidity crazy, but you sweep the high, and look what happens. You get the retracement down. Now, obviously, that would be obsolete, knowing that we have this candle right here, of course, at 49,000. So I'm still kind of torn on Bitcoin. While we did reach high, we didn't necessarily close above or disconnect from this bearish imbalance, and clearly it is a problem. But overall, on our if we're to look at like a much higher time frame situation here, ultimately got down into the 79% retracement. Now to complete 69,000 would be the number to complete my model at. But if we are to look at it from a little bit of a smaller situation here, if we're to look, what was the price run that took out, there's multiple sets of highs, but 1, 2, 3 sets of highs. And, obviously it's this run right here from your low to your high. Whoa, baby, almost. And that's frustrating to me. The fact that we couldn't just tag 50% and, get up and go. Does this mean that it needs to come back down here? Not necessarily. It could continue higher. And, to me, it's just not the best risk reward. And that just doesn't meet the criteria for my model in itself. So that's, why I would have preferred it to get a little bit lower. But if it were to continue higher, it would make sense with that bullish fair value gap. Very similar to NASDAQ. Look what NASDAQ did last week, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, or 3 weeks ago at this point. Retracement into the bullish weekly fair value gap, run again here, right? These are not discount runs, right? These are well in premium, but they're still getting bought up, and that's okay. Got to wait for a weekly imbalance for me to feel confident enough for us to go back down to 50% of the range. So that would be on Mara and Bitcoin as a whole. I do not use Facebook. I don't know. I did when I was younger, but I got rid of all that. Hey, Kel. Snow. Yeah, let's look at snow. Yeah, IWM is totally a lagger. Whoa, baby. Look at that. Okay, so let's zoom in. Yeah, snow is another one of those names where from all-time high to where it currently is. I mean, let's just look at it like this. I mean, I'm not saying that this is gonna happen, but just to get to 50% of the range, you're talking 250, which is just insane from where we ended up making a low to where we are now. But if we're to zoom in here and just look at that most recent price run, let's see. Oh, hold on. Okay. Nice. But again, no 50% retracement stinks. This is another one where if you looked at it on the daily, it actually did make a daily retracement, which was good. But this is still my weekly fib. I'll put on the daily. Okay. Price run to take out that high right here was from that low to that high. There it is. There's your discount retracement right off the golden pocket, 62%. Didn't quite get up and go. This is kind of what happened on NASDAQ today on like a smaller time frame where you created one volume imbalance down, got up into it, rejected, one more tag of that discount imbalance, and then we take off. Even here, even after completing, right? Let's just take a look here. You have your, price run that took out those highs. This blue line right here, low to high, discount retracement, up and gone. So it's just something that happens a lot. Obviously, there was like 17 examples of it today that I was posting in that chat. But it is what it is. So let's just see one more time. And this is where we currently are. Range wasn't set. So at some point, we would expect range to set. And hold on, let me just come over here and do this. There's your, oh, look at that. Dang. Okay. So that's why we kind of stopped in our tracks. It wasn't a big retracement by any means, but still retracement nonetheless. So that would be Snowflake. RTY looks a little like Tesla with a 3-wave down to the 0.7. Yeah, like a 3 drives pattern, sure. Yeah, we looked at Tesla, Lena, a little while ago. You can go back and look at that one, but Boeing, yeah, let's look at Boeing. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Low to high that took out these highs right here. Obviously, all the bad news in the world. Doors blowing off the plane. But but guess what? It couldn't be bad enough to shift market structure, right? Nope. Discount right now, bullish imbalance, check. Still holding on to this one as well. That's why I haven't removed it. If we were to completely disconnect from that level at that point, I would say, okay, I'm done with it. But you'll even notice 2 weeks ago when we got that little bit of a pump, look where we rejected perfectly in the bearish volume imbalance. So I think time is just the best thing about Boeing. I really don't envision it sweeping that 176. And that would cause a bearish market structure shift. Maybe you get a little bit of a bounce, but ultimately, not so much. I mean, even look, the first attempt, I remember charting this. I got this one late. I didn't, or I got to this one late. I wasn't even thinking about charting it, but there's your low to can't be the highs here because these moves down here did not go into discount. There's your range setter. How do we know it's a range setter? What do we need? Bearish imbalance. There it is. There's your retest. That's your entry. And then you look for that retracement, and there it is. And once we got to 50%, it's a bullish order block, and we took off. So, I don't think a turtle soup situation would even be in the cards in this situation. Honestly, I think, I really don't think we're taking 176, but the timing of it, because for each one of these bearish imbalances, it could take a while to get up and through. And that's the difficulty with trading Boeing. I ended up a couple weeks back, actually, I took, it was like 2 weeks ago. I took leaps like 365 days out, and I ended up making like 80% in a day or two. And I cut it, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'll probably get another chance. And ultimately we did go lower for 2 more weeks, which is fine. And I don't hate that at all. I'm just thinking, at what point would I consider it again? And that's kind of where I'm at with that one. Again, no shift whatsoever here. Still bullish trend, even with all of that nonsense, right? That's why I think it's very important for people to be able to map their range. If you can map a range, these moves always are scary. always. But if you go back and look at the pinned tweet on my Twitter, every time it comes down here, it's looking scary, but typically that ends up being a great long situation. Or even if you're wrong in your long situation, your stop loss isn't, it's a very controlled trade in terms of how much you could possibly lose versus how much you could possibly make. You're risking at this point, you're risking 30% of the range for 70%. And again, this is something that you can back test, go on a million different charts. You'll see it over and over. Um, so yeah, that's Boeing. Katie, you on Boeing at all, or?
No, I haven't. So since I mentioned it that day when I mentioned to you guys that I was that it just bounced out to 0.79, I've looked at it, not traded it. It doesn't even obviously with the confluence of it being at 0.79 discount retracement, way too much risk profile for me to touch this right now. At
Yeah,
least.
no, I feel that. I
Yeah,
feel you.
I,
I
I
just think the timing is the hardest part, the time component to this, because that you have a lot of resistance overhead.
Yeah, and I mean, and then another news could drop. I think I saw stirrings that they were talking about grounding more planes, which could enter, be in air quotes more data entering the market for this name, could lead to more bearish imbalances down. Uh,
Right.
Something that I'm a little lenient about. I know some people get a little scared about playing Tesla. Some people think that Tesla trades a little too volatile. For me, Tesla is a comfortable speed. Boeing moves much less price action, but definitely after the recent volatility, way too much for me to actually stick my neck in.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It has been hectic, and that's why the fact that I was able to score as well as I did in a day or two, I was like, all right, I think I can get another chance. This is to me going to be a long developing trade, but to go to the next one here, PDD. By looking at this here, I had this one charted previously, but the way I look at it is here, like, okay, so we took out this high here with what move, right? Some people might say, okay, why didn't you use that green candle, right? Because look, if we were to use that green to this high, you already got your retracement and you got your run. So that's why that's where my green is starting. I mean, look, even if, I personally like going off the green candles to start my run, but if you were even to use your red, we're still in discount, right? Right at discount, bullish imbalance, check. You got a couple more below, which, these are volume imbalances. Price could definitely get into there. I think I'm just sick of the Chinese names, to be honest with you.
It's
And
it's funny every week, bro. You or Ryan always brings up a Chinese name to me, like,
yeah, Baidu or yeah,
but
no, I'm just sick of them because I still, there's a few that don't look bad, but it's just like, this has just been a miserable trade. It just takes forever. Every time we make good progress one day, you get a gap down and you churn back higher. You make the move higher. Even if you gap up, you're moving down. It's just been such a choppy garbage trade
well,
that,
yeah, you're fighting the momentum and the sentiment that's coming from the Hang Seng, and a lot of people are not trusting Chinese names because it's like a lot of that Chinese market's very manipulated. Um,
big time.
I mean, dude, one of the reports was Hang Seng was hitting like lows, and then Hang Seng is banning short sellers. Like, all right, seriously, like
Exactly.
I don't know if I want to trade that market.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But somebody also brought up Neo to me, and just to again, it's just not really like all these names. I've been charting Baba for weeks, months. I've been charting Baidu for weeks, months. Neo, another one. It's just like, yeah, there's a lot of support down here, but again, it's just like I just would prefer to look towards something that's winning right now in AKA tech.
Well,
Um,
you also have to think too, like Neo's, like there's when you think about charting these companies, like there's sentiments that go across markets, like all of the EV car names are getting hammered right now. All
Big
of
time.
all of
Boosted like $3. Yeah,
yeah
331.
yeah all of the car names are getting hammered.
Tesla too, of course.
All of the Chinese names are getting hammered. So Neo's got the worst of both worlds.
Right. No, it's true. I mean, when would I feel comfortable like trading Neo, for example? honestly, and it sounds crazy, but not until here. Because then we would form a low, high, lower low, bullish breaker over 957. Until then, am I missing out on $4? Sure, but I'm okay with that. I don't know where the low is going to be. We have a ton of support, but if even if we were to get a bullish imbalance to the upside, you're still dealing with multiple levels. And if you want to look at it from a smaller time frame perspective, what we currently have is a bearish market structure with multiple bearish imbalances and discounts. So I don't know. I'm just really not interested in any of those Chinese names right now, to be honest with you. But and yeah, the EV is getting what's it called? Yeah, no, not a recommendation to buy anything for educational purpose only. We don't want. Yeah, no, never, never, never. That's why I will never tell anybody anything like that. But yeah, no, just not. And this is all me personally. I'm just not interested in that. All right, let's look at Google. Google, when we got Enphase, Stoic, yeah, they're recorded. Yep, they'll be on YouTube. BMW giving up on hybrids. Yeah, you know what? I actually heard something about Toyota too. They're leaning more into the hybrid model. The reason for it being that you're still by going hybrid, you're still saving on fuel economy. By using half and half, you're not using as much oil, but I don't know. But now you have the range as like in a gas-based car, so that's something interesting at least. But yeah, we could do SC too. Let's look at Google first. Google sweeps the high here, all-time high, and look what happened. Wow. Yeah, pretty interesting, right? Liquidity, right? Swept by side, and so far, so to me on Google, okay, like what was the price run that really ran up to take out that high? And it was from let's just see, it's really here, and that's dangerously low where we didn't quite sweep that low, which is pretty good for the bulls in this situation. But Google doesn't look great.
What
uh
Google report?
Google, did they or no?
I don't see.
No, I don't think they.
I
Oh
don't.
no, they did.
I don't have it on my chart if they reported yet.
I don't know. I thought they did this week. Maybe somebody in the chat can
Oh
help us
yeah,
out there.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been
I,
disconnected. So,
I lied.
um,
Yeah, I got it.
but yeah, no, isn't that interesting? All-time high sweep, right in time for earnings, and then a retracement lower. But we don't shift market structure, so that's something to just keep an eye on. Maybe a different time frame, like a monthly or something, will look. Yeah, a monthly looks a little bit better. Not obviously that high wick, but where we currently are, this is a bullish volume imbalance on the monthly time frame. So we'll see. But right now, at this exact moment, I would wait for one more week, one candle to paint. If you don't form a bearish weekly imbalance, then business as usual. That's really how I've been viewing all of these names until we get that bearish imbalance on the weekly set. I'm not really looking at anything else. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Google. Kind of a gross trade in comparison to a lot of the others, but
Yeah,
um,
I was gonna say, relatively speaking, I do not like Google.
yeah, no, it doesn't look as good as some of these other names. That's for sure.
Well, I'm sorry I don't kill your time on this, but if you
No, go ahead.
if you go to Google Weekly,
Yeah,
go to the
yeah, we're on.
go to the order block that's formed January 31st, January 2022, and then February 7th, 2022. What I've been doing actually, when I see these differences between the order blocks, I've been actually putting a fair value gap or like liquidity there in the difference between the heights of the order blocks. If you run it all the way straight across, we just actually close below that level. So
Here
on
you're
the
saying
on the weekly,
weekly.
yeah.
You said something about February 2nd. I don't have that on a weekly, but
Yeah, so if you go to the order block that was created January 2022, the year.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, here.
It's the high wick candle. Yep. And I've been actually putting a little imbalance when you form the difference between the two heights of the order block goes straight across. And that actually lines up with the where you rejected and created the wicks for the
So like
previous.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never looked into anything like that, but
Yeah, I've been using that. It's suited me pretty well. Yeah, not liking it at all.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. But yeah, weirdly enough, Google just does not look as good as some of these others. But let me do SE.
Yeah,
Okay.
oil looks like garbage. I don't know if
What's that?
oil looks bad.
Yeah, I know. I actually wanted to bring that up. I have CL done. Yeah. Oh, okay. So SE, low, high, lower, low. And while you're in a bearish weekly imbalance, you did fill it, but you're working with that as a breaker. So you had a bullish breaker on the weekly on SE. Another one of these names with a pretty big range. But yeah, not too bad there. He finally got that move. Did we? Yeah, we did. We swept the COVID lows also, just worth noting. Before that run up, you also have this bullish fair value gap here. So not bad, not bad. Let's see. Yeah, Google beat earnings. Yeah, so Soul Vibes, that's a good point. Everybody's always thinking, oh, are the earnings were great? Why is it down so much? Or, oh, I don't know. The news that just came out was great. Like, why are we down? Like, it's just liquidity. It's right there on the chart.
My favorite thing afterwards is like everyone always goes, "Oh, well, it must have been priced in."
Yeah, I know they were talking about that on CNBC today. Some guy was like, "Yeah, Apple's problems in China is already priced in." I'm just like, how do you know that? How do you know that?
Is there like a
I'm
leopard?
saying this to millions of people on television. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a
But
little on that jumped out of the TV and told them.
I know, seriously. Hybrids no need to charge Toyota while Ford cut half of their EV production. Same to BMW. Yeah. Toyota, Lexus is going hybrid across. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're getting the range of a gas powered vehicle, and you're also still getting like the fuel economy of a. So that's pretty good. What's up, Surya? But let's see, MSTR down 30% from highs. Has it shift market structure? Look at MSTR, and then we got to look at race too. MSTR. Aha. Okay. So no market structure shift here. The reason I say that, look, even if we took out low, right? That we would consider that a low, but guess what? If we're to come back over here, that low did not get us into discount. So to me, the range is not set. Somebody was talking about that today. They said, "Oh, market structure shift," and I was like, "Not quite." What I mean by that is this, literally. When we did get that little low put in, it wasn't a discount low. So by us making a new high, to me, it's just not a market structure shift. And yeah, I mean, MSCR doesn't look too bad either. A lot of these, I don't know. I don't feel great about trading options when something is so heavily reliant on something else. For example, like, energy as a whole, really, obviously you can look towards CL as like the overall guiding factor, right? Your overall oil price. And then, for Bitcoin, all these miners and stuff, you're looking at it from, you almost need Bitcoin to perform in order for this to play out the way you want. But one thing that just worth noting on MSTR, you do have a pretty big bearish fair value gap right here. We rejected one as well, but buy side 727, still bullish structure. We'll see how that one shakes out. And the other one was race. Let's see.
I totally agree with your sentiment. Like, so that was one of my biggest things is like why I would never really want to own the miners. Like, if you want to own Bitcoin exposure, just go buy Bitcoin. Don't go buy ETFs where you're gonna pay somebody else to manage your Bitcoin. Don't go buying Mara or any of these other ones unless you are bullish on the technology of miners or what they can do or how they're managing the Bitcoin that they're mining. Like, if you want exposure to Bitcoin, go buy Bitcoin, because when you're owning a Mara, you you're waiting on Bitcoin to do something, and you're waiting on the overall sentiment of the market. If the overall sentiment of the market is going to weigh, it's going to weigh on those miner names. So it's not, it's a lose-lose trade to me when you could just get full exposure to owning Bitcoin and get exactly what you want in the first place.
If Bitcoin hit that discount, I would have felt so good about these miner plays and stuff. I'm just not so sure if it doesn't make one more low or not, or that's kind of where I'm crossed on it. But anyways, here's race. I know we talked about this one because I had some levels on it, but low to high that took out this high here, retracement into discount. There's your run. This is also turtle soup right here. So this is what I'm talking about. This is literally exactly what I'm talking about on Mara or MSTR, like where you have your low set, and while you do get a bounce, are we so sure that this is the low, or do we come back one more time for that turtle soup? And that would be the similar situation as Bitcoin here. I'll go back to race in a second, but right here, maybe one more, you know what I'm saying? I just don't know if we're going to get that one more low into discount or not. And that's kind of why I'm on the fence with those. But yeah, Ferrari completed my model here with a breakthrough. What did we say about it last time, Sol? I know we've done this one before, so yeah, we can look at you. Yeah, let's look at you. I'm curious to see what we said about Ferrari last time because that was sweet. Okay, Unity here. All right, so obviously from its highs, a bearish structure. Within that bearish structure, it's worth noting that we did get a little bit of a market structure shift here, right? Taking out that high here with low to high. Okay, so from this point, also worth noting, we actually failed this breaker. Low, high, lower low, and that would be your breaker candle. Obviously, we are below. So that would, in a sense, be a failure. Now, also looking at it from this perspective, that breaker turned out to be in premium. So not one which, we're really looking at to offer all that much support. But here's your retracement lower. We're hanging on for dear life here to this bullish volume imbalance right off 50%. I would have wished it just came down there. I don't know if it's going to have to get into this bullish imbalance here before any move higher, but buy side's at 43. Currently, market structure is bullish on it. But yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, does it have to come down here just a couple ticks more before making a move? We did fill this, so if it were to make one more low, at least you're not going to really have to deal with that all that much. You do have one more that I don't have it on here right now. Hold on, I'll put it. We got two more actually, but one here and you got one here. I'm not sure when their earnings is though. That'd be something to keep an eye on.
Which one?
But Unity.
I can take a look.
It might get bought by somebody. That's a type of
yeah. Think about it. I mean,
I guess the way I'm looking at it.
Microsoft just bought Activision. I mean, I feel like another mega cap is just going to eat them, like swallow them up. Like maybe a Facebook goes out and be like, yo, we want Unity to inquire about their gaming engines or whatnot.
Yeah. Who knows? But all right, last but not least, so there is earnings here at some point. Do we get that manipulated move into here before move higher? We'll see. SoFi. Yep, SoFi had the nice earnings report. Notice how we kind of rejected this. So you obviously have this bearish volume imbalance here, but also worth noting that you have that bearish for value gap as well. So you're working on some resistance overhead here, but still structurally still okay. It's tough to trade options on these names because they take a while to get going. I think the necessary liquidity, it may or may not be there in order to push it quickly. So
Unity,
so far a lot of the same.
Unity's earnings is February 26th.
February 26th. Oh, okay. So let's just see. Maybe this will be one that we come back to, but let's just see if it gets down into here. Let's add an alert in the and let's just move it to the high. Let's just see if it does need to come down there. This is good for practice and back testing for ourselves anyway, but yeah, we're right at 50% on that one. So snap. Okay. Let's look at Snap. Haven't looked at this one in a while, but okay. So from your low, all right. So in reality, it should be there. From your low, actually, hold on. Yeah. Okay. Definitely. From your low to your high, took out multiple sets of highs with that move. Not quite a discount retracement yet, but notice again, do we necessarily have to? No, but for me to like it or to trade it, I would need it to come back down there. But yeah, not bad. You got the bullish volume imbalance here. You also have a little bullish fair value gap working here as well. Not quite in discount, but and you're also working on a pretty big bearish fair value gap here. That one goes all the way up to 22.38. I remember a couple years ago trading Snap. It was like $40, $50. Yeah, it's been a dead man for a while. One thing to note, just like a couple of the others that we talked about, just a huge range, really. So 50% of this at 45.34. But let's see. How do you feel like with these Russell names being so dead, with indices pushing this high, when the market corrects, are these stocks going to die? Or do we see an insane outperformance on Russell? I don't know when the market's going to correct. So again, it's just like waiting for that imbalance to form. If that doesn't form, then I don't really see any reason to look to the downside right now, to be honest with you. But who's to say that the money from the mega caps doesn't flow into mid caps? Who knows? There's still penny stocks. There's money going into those. I know maybe not all that much, but yeah, I think that's all I got here. You got anything else, Katie?
Oh, yeah, we did want to cover
What's that?
oil.
Who? Oh, oil. Yeah, let me go over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's CL. Really bad weekly candle here. So, I was looking at this one earlier and I noticed, while we don't have a weekly imbalance here that we rejected, this is a daily bearish fair value gap that we do end up rejecting. Just kind of stuck in the mud. I mean, CVX had a good day with earnings. I'm sure Exxon was red. Wow. CVX was up 3%. So, and you look at any of these oil charts, it's just so sticky right now. I'm not really interested in trading any of them. So,
yeah. Little victory lap on Walmart. Walmart crushed.
Oh yeah, you got me on that one. Where's Walmart?
All-time highs, bro. I was memeing on.
Wait, it got there? Did it get there?
Yeah, it did.
Wow. I have it on here somewhere.
Just type it in, WMT.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I knew I saw it. Wow. Yep. So complete L here. So my idea was shift in market structure, and a retracement up into not only a bearish breaker, but also your bearish fair value gap right here, and ultimately took care of business. It's shifted back bullish. So this is what the range is going to look like now. So in this situation, after obviously the bearish breaker and fair value gap don't work, you're obviously a goner. But here, let me just go from the green candle that started it from low to high. You got a couple weekly imbalances here as well. Wow. All-time highs on Walmart. And it's funny because I was seeing so many messages or tweets about the CEO and the family and all of that selling all their shares. It's kind of like Zuckerberg sold all those shares too, and it turned out that
they're
ripped
dumping
$80 in a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
but yeah, no, that was a good one.
Yeah, I'm glad I sold out of that piece of shit Target and bought Wally's World. Wally's World's gonna lead me to the promised land, dude. They're doing that. I think you already remember this, but February 22nd, I believe, is the last. No, February 21st is the last day to get in before they do a 3-to-1 stock split. So I'll be adding some more shares there.
Right. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's Palantir. Structure's still bullish. These relative equal lows are screaming, and we've been stuck in the mud for a while here. I'd prefer it to go to 1368, but
So Palantir is an interesting one because it reports earnings after hours on Monday, but it's up quite a bit in after hours. I think it's up like, I think I looked at it, it's up like 60 cents in after hours last I looked.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, again, like we got our discount retracement, great. The fact that we just didn't sweep that is just so annoying. You know, if we were just to sweep that, because again, the way I look at it is if somebody went long here, right, they had to have, right? That would the only thing that makes sense, right, for price to move higher. Same thing here. It's the exact same low, 1368, 1368. What had to have happened here? They didn't get stopped out of their position. So long again. But that's sketchy to me. Double the pool of liquidity there. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe earnings will give us a little bit more of insight, but we'll have to see on that. But
You want to
good.
Tractor Supply Company real quick? TSCO.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Buy side. Yeah, we had that one from a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Didn't quite get it here. Maybe I bet you there's a daily bullish for value gap in there.
We just tagged weekly CE. I have that weekly CE for that.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that bounce though. On that
retracement.
Yeah, there it is. On the weekly, you're not gonna see it, but I just wanted to figure it out. But yeah, there's your bounce. Yeah, we tagged CE of the weekly bearish fair value gap, and my model completes at 251. Wow, I wish we were able to like annotate when we looked at that.
December
down here.
December 17th.
December 17th.
Dude, it was like 208. Wow. It was like 208 a share or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 211, right? Or whatever. Yeah, it's a pretty big range, but
yeah.
Wow, look at that. It's not bad. That's 20 bucks a share. But yeah, that's a good one. But let's see. If you see ESN SPY diverge in real time, who do you follow?
I mean, what's your
MM trade at 11:30 on SPY, up 73% by close. Nice, man. Yeah, that's that was all you, not me. You think HSI won the Hang Seng Index possibly going to bottom? Yeah, I mean we can look, but
I think we talked about this last time. Was HS1?
Oh, it's not HSI.
I don't know.
No, he said Hang Seng. Yeah. So
it is HSI. Yeah.
Yikes. Okay, we're going back to 2009 here.
Oh, dude, this is bad.
Yeah, China. Okay, there's a bunch of I'm just gonna mark the ones that are apparent right now, but that we have this one because I know we made a low over here.
That's real. It's bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Looking back at the great financial crisis, her liquidity.
Yeah. So just the way I look at it, we can go from all the way back to this point. First market structure shift was here. Okay. So from that point, we got our low. Any one of these highs, you'll notice no 50% retracement, no 50% retracement. There it is. Here's your retracement down. There's your completion of the model. So from here, you go low to high. Model complete. Okay. And now we go to the next. Whoops. Low to high. Model complete. Next. Okay. And again, this could work 45 times in a row, but at some point it's not going to work or the market would just go in one direction all the time, right? Hold on. There it is. Low to high, discount retracement, run higher. Here's your first market structure shift right here, down. Okay. But ultimately, after sweeping lows in the process, you make your way up here. But clearly right now we're obviously in a bearish market structure. So there's your first model complete. This would be your second low, high. I just don't feel like dragging it anymore. Then we would go from that low to that high. Why? There was no retracement in that entire run up. There it is, and there's your failure. So there's your bearish market structure shift. Okay, so from this point, we got to flip the fibs. So look like this. Come on, give it to me. High to your low. Bingo. Retracement to discount. Flush. So this would be a bearish perspective. I had one guy complain to me, "Oh, you never show the bearish trade." Well, guess what? We're up like 4,000 points. It's hard for me to show bearish trades when my higher time frame bias is bullish and we're up 4,000 points. You
Yeah,
know, I
I was
don't
gonna.
mean to be mean about it, but come on.
Yeah, I was gonna mention this earlier.
Turtle
But
soup.
I'll just say it now. Like, I made this comment to the group, and I'll make it public now. But like, literally, my comment to all everybody privately was like, you bang your head against the wall bullish until the market tells you to be bearish. And right now, the market's not telling you to be bearish, and I'm not telling you to go AMC ape your account here on any one trade. But really, like, there's no reason to be buying puts when the market's not telling you to buy puts. There's literally there's been next to zero indication to actually go and buy puts. So if you're buying puts, you're literally the definition of hopium right now. You're hoping that we make a retracement backwards. Yeah, and we're not.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just waiting for an imbalance to form on a higher time frame. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're not holding that higher low, that could be bad for China. But again, I'm just never gonna trade it, so not all that concerned. But Katie's channel, I don't know if Katie, do you have a YouTube channel or no?
I think this account might be active.
Yeah, I don't know if he has YouTube. He's in the Discord though. And
Yeah,
on Twitter. Just plug your Twitter right now too.
yeah.
For anybody listening.
Yeah. Let me go find it. Yeah, I'm thinking about becoming YouTube active again. I gotta get through this semester of graduate school, bro.
Yeah, I feel that.
I mean, honestly, dude, I pretty much gave away a 2,000% trade today. The main reason was because I had to go take care of mice.
I know it sucks, but it is what it
um,
is. You gotta do it.
yeah,
Here's your low to high. No discount retracement yet. Does it have to? Not necessarily, but that's currently where we sit on SQ. This is a bullish breaker in discount too. We do have relative equal lows down here. That's kind of dangerous. No, we don't have relative equal lows. What was I thinking? Sorry, this should not be on the chart. I don't know why I have that. It is disgustingly close here. I know it's $6. You might say, oh, it's pretty far away, but again, the fact that we didn't take out liquidity, it's just suspect to me. But we didn't even take out the high. If we took out the high, we'd get a higher time frame. Low, high, lower, low, and we just got caught dead in our tracks right off this bearish order block. So yeah, just another one that's But all right,
yeah.
I think I'm
So
calling it here.
my Twitter account is
Yeah,
invest with KD or at investing KD. You can find me on Twitter there. I kind of keep to myself. I only really kind of tweet and comment when I kind of see something like. But
or to troll someone.
yeah, or to make a few trolls. Apologies, you have to deal with my trolling. There's some people that just kind of just don't learn how to trade and sell people crap, and I can't stand it. So yeah. Yo, can we actually finish on Starbucks reported took out actually went straight into the previous bearish fair value gap and pulled back.
I haven't charted this one in so long. Wow. So the last time I charted this was November. But anyways, here, let's go over here. And let's see. Still have a bullish structure.
Yep.
That's a disgusting candle. That was the earnings candle, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Even if we were to say, forget about this larger range, let's look at the smaller from our low to our high, because we did take out this high. So realistically, we were flirting below that 79%, working on a bullish order block here, but that's about it before taking out that 95 low. Does it need to come back down for 89.37, get into this bullish fair value gap one more time? Possibly, but in that it would also shift market structure on a smaller time frame to bearish. I don't know. What do you think?
What I think is I would really like it to take out the 88.70 low before actually moving back higher. That's my take on it.
All right. But all right, yeah. So I think I'm calling it quits here. We did, an hour and a half. So thanks for everybody sticking around. Maybe do something else next week. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys. I'm gonna post some charts this weekend too. So I'll see everybody. Thanks for joining, Katie.
Yeah, no problem, man. See you.
See you, man.